in Tejon, the first week or so that we were there, the first mortar barrage that I was involved in was at Tejon. And I had, in the hole with me, I had half my squad, and the other half was doing some other things. But I had a very sizable mortar round to land about 3 feet from me. And what saved me was my head was below the level of the loose dirt that was packed up around the hole, and that's where the blast primarily lasted, into that dirt. And my platoon leader shouted out if I was okay, and I said, yeah, we're fine. But if it had been 3 feet over, it would have been half my squad would have been wiped out. And another heavy decision for a young sergeant to make was being attacked by our own airplanes. Mm. And thank goodness there was no napalm involved in it, but he made a good strafing run over. We were back on a rest, R&R, rest and recuperation. That's where you got clean fatigues and hot food and that sort of thing. And usually we had C rations constantly, but we were all glad to get those. And that was my first exposure to combat fatigue. As a matter of fact, my battalion commander, on our first night back, the meal was wieners and sauerkraut. I'll never forget it because it meant a lot, because number one, that was the first hot meal we'd had. And he announced that he wanted to see all the NCOs in the battalion. And I think I told JW this before. That at that time, the Koreans buried their people on top of the ground and had a mound above them. And this battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel, very, very good guy, he got up and was describing to me, and you got to remember, I'm a very young guy, and everything he said is the gospel, you know, because he described battle fatigue as nothing more than a yellow streak down a soldier's back. And he was dramatic by drawing it from the top, from his back all the way down to the ground, at his feet. And probably within 3 weeks, I didn't see him for a while, so I just asked someone if seen the battalion executive officer or battalion commander. He said, no, he was evacuated for battle fatigue, you know. So this is the same guy.
The guy that had told you about the yellow streak.
Yeah. And that happens, you know. But I learned very quickly that that was real to the people that were involved in it, you know. And I saw several people have it. And had a touch of it myself, but not much.
I remember one incident, it's been some time back, that you described for me where y'all were engaged in combat, and you actually went over to a soldier that actually had decomposed. It was a
South Korean soldier. I saw him in a firing position, and so I ran up, got right down beside of him and tried to mutter something to him, but when I looked, he had magnets under his armpit, you know, but it was all in complete new fatigues and new helmets and all that stuff, so it looked real to me, and it was real.
So he had taken a bullet and never moved out of that position.
That's correct.
So there was no doubt he didn't feel it for long, did he?
No, he didn't. And during that same period of time, I was checking the area out and walked up on the stream, and this was one of the times I've seen our people captured, bound, and shot. You know, our own troops. But
now this was in Vietnam.
Korea.
In Korea.
Yeah, yeah. Vietnam continued on later, but I primarily, as a field grade officer back in Vietnam, the brigade level is about as low as I went, and I ended up being on division staff before leaving. Matter of fact, my last 6 months over there was as a division plans and logistical operations and plans officer for the division. It's another challenging job, and we've had nothing but challenging jobs. that helped me a lot in civilian life, because it was just one of those things that had been instilled in me. You know, you can do it, you can do it. It's going to take time, that sort of thing. But it worked fine for me. But I also mentioned to you, J.W., about the first heavy decision I had to make, and we were back in R&R, Rest Corporation again, and we had our panels out, which identifies us as an American unit, friendly unit. And we were playing cards in one of the Korean houses, and this night fighter aircraft came over and made a pass by. He didn't hit us, but he hit the company next door with machine gun fire and 20 millimeter type fire. And they took several casualties over there. Some of them were bad, like blowing off arms, this kind of thing. And I couldn't just do nothing, because he was coming back for another pass. And when I saw he did fly on out, he made his turn, started coming back, and that's where I had 3 or 4 of my men to. We didn't have any 50 caliber machine guns, but there were some 2.5 ton trucks sitting over there that had turrets on them, and they had 50 caliber machine guns on them. So I asked them to go man those trucks, and if he comes back around, you attempt to shoot him down. Now, the part that probably bothered me more is having to make that decision to shoot down one of our own airplanes. And I am thankful that when he started in on his approach, he was coming right at us too. I could tell he was lined up on us, just on his next pass, and he just suddenly broke off and flew on out. But
you saw some of your indication. I mean, you had something out that was showing him that y'all were American troops.
Yeah, that was done to start with.
Yeah, he just overlooked it.
Yeah. And he got lost. He wasn't where he thought he should have been. But I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
And again, would we have shot him down? No, probably not, because everybody gets too excited when that sort of thing starts happening. But he would have known we were down there.
Yeah.
Well, I was really stationed at Fort Richardson, which is Anchorage.
Anchorage,
Yeah.
okay.
And but I was in a kind of a special job over there. It's called a Special Security Officer for U.S. Army Alaska. And that was a wonderful assignment for me also. It was just a good education. As a matter of fact, I continued my evening studies there at that location for college. And I'm still here. That tells me that I really often felt that the Lord must have some special purpose for me, because not many people could do the things that I did and survive. It's like jumping out of airplanes. You know, I'm wearing 2 hearing aids now that's primarily caused from shell concussion of our own artillery, and also North Korean bombardments. And the first member of my squad, as a matter of fact, I walked by him one day and he said, "Gaylor, I'll see you later." And I asked him, I said, "Lemwith, where are you going?" He said, "I'm going home." I said, "How'd you do that?" He said, "I'm being rotated out." And I said, "Well, how'd it pick you?" And he said he had 4 Purple Hearts. And that made me think more about the danger that I was exposed to, because I was with him when he got 2 of those Purple Hearts. And by all rights and reasons, I probably should have been hit rather than him, because most of the time I was standing up in an upright position, and he was squatting down beside of a little fire we had started, which you weren't supposed to have, but we did it anyway. But it was darn cold, you know.
What was, I guess, maybe the foxhole experience was the most sobering moment? Are there any particular parts of your service that were just that kind of wow kind of deal when once it was over?
Yeah. Probably the thing that hit me the hardest, and always remembering, was I wasn't wounded, but I had to go to the aid station for some antibiotics on a cold or something that I'd had, because our medic told me I need to go on down to the aid station, and that's what I did, and got a shot of penicillin and was back on the job in just a few minutes. But while I was there, I saw this 2.5-ton truck parked behind the aid station, and it was loaded down with American soldiers that had been killed in action. And I'll just be in my memory forever, because I won't ever forget it. And then I saw others that had been wounded at the aid station. But the most sobering point was seeing all those deaths. And North Korean, and including the Chinese, they tried to conceal their losses by burying them in trenches they had dug and this sort of thing. But you could see arms, legs sticking up and hands sticking up, where they weren't covered up completely. And it's...
Now, with the truck, they had gone on to the and collected the bodies off the battlefields?
No, these people were evacuated to the aid station.
I see.
And that's where they died.
Oh, okay.
Or they couldn't help them start with.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a cold day, and they knew, seeing them out there, just mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm. Service now, you'd probably find a way to make peace real quick, wouldn't you?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But my life has been good to me. I've gotten a good education out of it, not only just scholastic education, but experience in dealing with people. And it's helped me so many times in my civilian life. It's unreal, meaning that.
Would you, if you had it to do over, would you do a military career again?
Without a doubt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I loved it just as good the day I got out as the day that I went in. That doesn't mean I'm a combat seeker. It just simply means that I wouldn't take anything from my experiences there. And getting involved with the Green Berets, that was another great experience that I had. And all the jumping, I've had some malfunctions in my parachute, that kind of thing. But
how many jumps do you think you did?
probably around 100. I didn't record them all, but about 100 night jumps.
And were many of these in combat zones?
Yes, I did make one jump, and in the combat area, and that day we had sniper fire. I can tell you what a bullet sounds like as it zings by, and there's nothing you can do. I caught myself shaking my risers and everything else, trying to get down the ground quicker, but nothing works. It just happened. I'm fortunate. Again, very fortunate.
Yeah, and if you're on the end of a parachute, you're nothing but a target, are you?
That's it.
Not a
And there's
thing.
nothing you can do about it.
Nothing.
And but again, all those trips and reciprocating engine aircraft and non-pressurized, it cost me my hearing, basically. That's how it happened. And the shell concussion over in Korea. But I'll do it again if I had needed to. Yeah, that was a young warrant officer. And in combat, if you're flying in a helicopter, you either fly treetop level, navigate through the trees, or between the valleys, or you get above 2,000 feet to protect you from ground fire. And this day, this individual took off, and he started that navigation stuff. And see, helicopters have an auto rotation capability. And if you have a problem, the engine quits, you can auto rotate down and get safely on the ground. But if you're flying at treetop level, you don't have much time to do anything. So I corrected him rather harshly, and He didn't talk to me for about 2 weeks or a month, but